Hey team, I'm going to speak to you a little about my CrossFit and coaching journey. So, growing up as a kid, I wasn't particularly athletic. I wouldn't say that I was like gifted towards any particular sport, and I didn't really do anything outside of regular kind of school activities. The first sort of real experience I had trying the sport out a little more came through rugby just before I went to high school. I tried at football, and I remember going for the first time, and I was quite horrible at it. And the guy that ran the local team was friends with my parents, and he said to my dad, "You know, the rugby team plays like 3 pitches over. He's probably going to be better over there." So really, that was where I got my first introduction to like organized sport of any kind. And I enjoyed rugby mainly because my friends played it. I wasn't particularly great at it, but I was fortunate to be involved with teams that my friends were in that actually got to quite a high level. A couple of my friends have like gone on to play professionally, like receive national recognition for it, and you know they're now coaching and doing various things there. And I was never that guy. I just enjoyed getting together with my friends and playing a sport that we all enjoyed. But it was never going to be anything more than just a hobby for me, and that's exactly what it was. And you know, I played that all the way through high school. You know, I was on the school's rugby team up until the age of 15, when I was playing in a match and I obliterated my ACL like really badly, dislocated my kneecap. It was a pretty bad injury, and at 15, at that time when I was really enjoying my rugby, you know, my world had kind of come crashing down. That derailed my rugby career for the first time, and I spent a lot of time rehabbing that injury and getting back to a position where I was going to be able to play. That took like fully 18 months before I was back on the rugby field in like the first year of sixth form, and was having a great season, really enjoying it, really good fun. And a game towards the end of the year, meaningless game. You know, we weren't in any competitions. Wasn't really much going on. I ended up on the wrong end of a tip tackle. I got dropped, like upside down, and landed really awkwardly on my head. And at the time, we thought I'd taken a pretty serious neck injury. I was transported to like the local hospital, which was next to the school, fortunately for me, and I was obviously being looked after that day because I got away with a pretty bad concussion and a separated shoulder, which is the first of many shoulder dislocations. And it was kind of at that point that I realised that my rugby career was coming to a close. It wasn't much fun to be laid up in the hospital like that, and having my family and friends see me struggling. So you know, that was kind of when I closed the book on that. I must admit, when I went to university, the rugby teams were there, and I went down for a look, and I found out that the guy that was playing in my position was like this Fijian national player. He was like a superstar. He's played sevens for Fiji quite a few times since, and so I kind of realized that I was never going to be able to compete with that. So was quite happy in, you know, the universe telling me that my you know, my rugby career was done there and then. So from there, you know, I got into, you know, training in the gym for as long as I can remember. Like as a teenager, I was always that guy who had pretty bad self-confidence issues. You know, I was never confident in my own skin. I was always just going to the gym with the goal of, you know, getting bigger biceps, bigger shoulders, a bigger chest. And that was kind of it. You know, I just wanted to be able to like have the confidence to like take my shirt off and be good with it. And do you know, I'll say this right now, as a 34-year-old, I'm still not there. You know, I'm never that guy that takes off his shirt in the workout. And if you want to know why, it goes right back towards that, you know, that self-confidence. But you know, I enjoyed training. I did a lot of reading around training, read like the kind of the magazines, you know, Men's Health, Health and Muscle and Fitness, and, you know, saw the you know, the guys that were in there, and kind of I ate it up. You know, I knew that like days were there was back and bicep days, there was chest and tricep days, like the classic kind of modalities that you would see a lot of people doing like in a regular gym. But I did that for a long time, up until, well into my 20s. I trained with friends and they were doing different things, training for different sports. And so, I managed to get by. It was enough for me. And, I was quite happily kind of rolling along. So the start of my CrossFit journey, you got to go back 8 years to 2012. And my first kind of interaction with CrossFit Leyland is a bit of a funny story in that at the time, Laura's uncle was doing a bike ride from Blackpool to Paris, and they'd arranged a charity night. And one of the prizes in the raffle was 3 CrossFit sessions, which had been donated by the gym via one of their members who was also taking part in this bike ride. I'd heard about CrossFit. It was still quite underground at that time, but it wasn't anything. Definitely wasn't in the mainstream like it is now. And I'd read about it, and I'd thought, this, it looks pretty cool. It sounds pretty cool, but I didn't really ever look into pursuing it. I was still quite happy doing my regular gym. And anyway, we found out this prize was in the raffle, and I thought, what the hell? And the short version of the story is I fixed the raffle and bought the 3 sessions with a big donation to the fundraising efforts. And in response, I got the phone number of Gary. And all I had to do was text Gary, and he would arrange the sessions and tell me where I needed to go. So sure enough, I did that. And it turns out that this was taking place 2 streets away from the flat that me and Laura had lived in for since the start of the year. And this was kind of in the August. And, I went along to Tomlinson Road. It was my first session, classic 7-minute CrossFit workout, kettlebell swings, burpees, wall balls. And I was hooked. Straight away, I knew that my other gym membership that I had at the time wasn't going to last. I was really, really good with what I'd seen in that 7 minutes to know that was going to be the future of my training. And I say that knowing that Gary took the session, and it wasn't just because Gary was there and I wanted to see more of him. So we had, 2 more sessions to do. This was Laura and I, and we both did them. We both really enjoyed it. And then after those 3 sessions, we signed up on the spot for foundations, which was, at the time was like 3-hour session to 1-hour sessions. Went down and did those. And then, we chucked ourselves straight in to CrossFit, and we really enjoyed it. It was really good, lots of fun. I found like a lot of it just for me came a bit more naturally, just I think because of the background that I'd had playing rugby a bit. I had a bit of fitness from that, and I ran a lot at the time. I had a bit of fitness from that, and I didn't really I had enough to get by. But as you do, you get a bit more confident. You want to push the boundaries a little more. You want to see what you're capable of. So I was looking to, take my training and go and compete with it. I thought that might be something that would be available to me. I'd not really felt that kind of buzz since I'd stopped playing rugby. So sure enough, I thought I'd give it a try. And as you find out, the more that you want to push yourself, the more you kind of find out where your weaknesses lie and what you're good and bad at. And let me tell you, I didn't have an inch of mobility. About the sort of the rigid, I was about as flexy as a titanium girder, and in a lot of ways I still am. I had to work on that a lot. I had no gymnastics, had to work on that a lot, but it was good. I liked it. I liked putting in that work to see the reward for what came from it. And at the time, we when we moved to the new facility, like what everybody knows now as the gym, we'd arranged Gina had arranged to do some compete classes, and we sort of took things a bit more seriously. It was a lot of fun. I was definitely enjoying myself. But one of the things that I just remember from that time was, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get comfy in a snatch. My left shoulder, that previous dislocation, and one other high profile dislocation since then, my shoulder just wasn't comfy in the snatch. I just couldn't get that bar stable above my head. And so I'd known from the past that was going to come back and bite me at some point. I was told I was going to need surgeries, and I knew it was coming. And CrossFit has got a way of finding that out. You'll find out where your weaknesses are, and I definitely did. It was, I was managing, I was getting by, I could still do workouts, just wasn't snatching a lot. There's a lot of overhead work that I just avoided, like heavy kind of stuff. But it was starting to get worse, and I knew I had to do something about it. So I went and got it checked out. This would be in January of 2015, so we're sort of talking 2.5 years in. And it turns out that I had torn 85% of the labrum in my shoulder. I'd cracked the cartilage and I'd partially separated the joint, but was still getting by. And so in January of 2015, I had my first shoulder reconstruction, which at the time for me was just soul destroying. I knew I was going to be out of training, and I was going to be in a sling for a long while. I knew I wasn't going to be able to do a lot. And, you know, it was really hard for me to go back into the gym and to see people doing what I loved and just things that I wanted to do. And there was me with my arm in a sling, couldn't even use a tin opener. So I was, you know, having a really hard time with that. But, you know, I worked my way through my rehab. I got through it. But at a pretty early stage, I knew that the outcome of the surgery hadn't been what I'd hoped it was going to be. I was really struggling with, you know, overhead work, like trying to get into anything like a position where I could receive a barbell. And basically what had happened is I'd picked up an infection in the surgery, and over a period of time, I'd got a frozen shoulder. And that deteriorated really badly to the point that I had like 45 degrees of movement in my left arm, so if you can imagine, like up to about shoulder height, and that was me. And we tried physio, tried all the mobility in the world, it just wasn't happening. Really, really tough break, definitely not what I needed. And so later that year, I went to see another surgeon, a different surgeon, Len Funk. I think he's England's rugby surgeon. And he looked at my shoulder and his face said enough to know that I was going under the knife again. So 2015, November, shoulder reconstruction number 2. We took out 4 plates, 2 pieces of wiring, left 9 screws and 2 wires in there. And that's currently what's holding my shoulder together. But again, full subacromial decompression and treatment for the, you know, for the infection. Got it done. And completely different kind of outcome, you know, everything felt different from the off, and I was really good. But during that time, you know, I was out. I missed the 15 Open, I missed the 16 Open. I had to scale the 17 Open because we were being really patient with it. But that was when I kind of had my eyes opened to what CrossFit really is. And I understood that at that point, my like sort of ambitions to compete, especially on an individual basis, were done. You know, I had a lot of restrictions and had to accept where I was, relative to where I wanted to be. And during that time, I was really fortunate with the gym. You know, they got me involved in lots of stuff. I was like head judge at the Open one year. I loved, you know, judging. I got to see a lot more of like the other aspects of the gym that you don't necessarily see when you stood in the whiteboard or doing a workout. And in that time, I think that was probably when I had my eyes first open to the idea of coaching and doing something a little more that wasn't necessarily defined by how good I was or what my time was on the board or anything like that. And so it definitely stuck with me. And so when the gym ran a coaching development program, unfortunately, for reasons that I'll come on to shortly, I couldn't undertake it. You know, I couldn't get onto a level 1, but it was definitely something that I felt I would be good at. You know, a couple of people said you should go for that, and believe me, I wanted to. It's just, you know, the timing wasn't right. But you know, I stuck with it. You know, I said to Gina and Gary and Greg at the time, look, I'm going to come back to this. I gave my word I would. And in 2018, I actually got around to doing my level 1 in the March. Passed that, thought I'd failed, everyone does, and started coaching in classes, shadowing, and then eventually, you know, building up, getting a bit more experience, and, you know, started properly, I guess, if you want, in July 2019 when we launched Metcon. But, you know, you guys will see me in classes as well. And, you know, we're in this strange situation now. I'm coming up on a year's worth of coaching, and, you know, I love it. It gives me more than any sort of PB lift or any time will ever do, you know, investing in people, seeing their hard work. You know, I love playing that role. It's great. You know, the smile on my face, the dumb smile on my face is genuine. You know, I love being able to be that guy for a lot of people. And there's nothing better than seeing somebody, you know, who says I can't, and then 3 months later when they definitely can, and you know they're going to take that journey, but you know it's your job to facilitate and to bring the best out of people. That's a dream, you know. That's not what I do in my professional life, but this is something that gives me a chance to give back to you know, to our amazing community, and you know, I wouldn't change it. I love it. So in terms of like my biggest achievements, you know, what am I most proud of? So I'll take this two ways. Firstly, you know, outside of the gym, you have probably all seen my terrible twins, Harper and Phoebe. They are, without any question of doubt, the greatest achievement I've ever had. If I take this back to 2013, 28, and following a really invasive surgery that Laura had for a condition called endometriosis, we were told we wouldn't have kids, and that was that was not something I was willing or ready to hear. I had the rest of my life ahead of me, and I'd always thought that was my path. But we got told that wasn't going to be an option for us. But, you know, testament to my wife, Laura, she is the strongest and most resilient person I've ever met. And we were not prepared to accept that. So we decided, you know, we were going to try and do everything we could, exhaust every avenue towards getting, you know, that to be a reality for us. And so we fully committed to CrossFit. We were there 4 or 5 times every week. We dialed down on our diet. We looked after everything that we possibly could. And we knew we were going to have to take IVF. And we had 2 unsuccessful cycles, you know, because we knew we were up against it. But in August 2017, we started on our 3rd cycle. And, you know, that year we were switched on. We were so committed to everything, you know, we put it 100% in, we just put it all on the line basically. And sure enough, in September we took a pregnancy test, and against all odds we won the lottery twice, and we found out we were having twins. We didn't find out what they were. The girls were a complete surprise up until the day they were born in May 2018, and you know, they are everything to me. We took a pretty big journey to get them, and I will never ever take them for granted, because I promise you we had a lot of tough days that were just, you know, too difficult to talk about. And so when I see them running around and I see flashes of their mother and everything in them, it is just the greatest feeling in the world. I can't describe how much it means to me to be a parent, and I feel incredibly fortunate to be able to have that, and to be able to raise 2 beautiful women. You know, they're going to grow up strong and confident, and you know, we're going to give them everything that we can to make sure that they just have the best life that they can with us. You know, because we fought damn hard to get them, and so you know, it's all the more satisfying to see them there. And when I sort of talk about CrossFit wise, you know, my proudest achievement, if we go back to August 2016, me and 4 other guys from the gym decided that we were going to raise some money for an endometriosis charity. And we did a 72-hour marathon row. 5 guys switching out every 4 hours on the rower for 3 days. And we sort of set out with the kind of ambition to raise about £2,000. That was it. We launched on the, you know, the bank holiday Thursday night, going through to the Sunday, and we'd crack 2,000 on the Thursday. The community spirit that weekend showed, and for us getting up at like 4 a.m. to sit on the rower for like a 4-hour shift. Oh man, you know, it was tough, and it's probably one of the stupidest things that I have ever done. But if you were to ask me if I'd do it again, the answer is in a heartbeat. That was just a brilliant culmination of a lot of hard work, and we got so much support from the gym, putting on events like salsa nights and other things that were going on around, and big kind of summer festival at the end of it. to be able to do that and to raise awareness of the condition at the time just meant the world to me and to the four of the guys that I did it with, Matt, Andy, Adam, Jay. I love those guys. They're not at the gym anymore, but they are four guys that I would ride into war with any day, because they put their bodies on the line when they didn't need to, and we all did something really stupid but for a really good cause. And I know we're still really, really proud of it, and it pops up on timelines and we enjoy like everything about that. That was crazy, but it was worth it. So looking ahead, look, we're in a bit of a tricky spot right now, guys. It's a funny old world we're living in, but it doesn't mean that you should lose sight of all your goals and what you want. So for me, I just want to continue my coaching journey, continuing to be a positive influence over as many people as I possibly can, and enjoy getting to know people and their journeys, what makes them tick, and if I can play a small part in helping give somebody something, then that is, the absolute dream, to do that. And on a personal level, look, I still want to compete. I'm not good enough to do it individually. I get that. But look, I'm pretty, I do enjoy team workouts. I think, I can bring a goofy smile and a bit of energy to that. So, if anybody's got any comps that they want to hit and, you need someone to make up a team, let me know. Because all I want to do is have fun with it. I can't take it seriously because I'm not good at it. When I take it too seriously, I get in my own head and it all just falls apart real quick. So, if anybody wants to speak to me about that, I'm more than happy to. But, look, it's been really interesting to sort of go back over this journey for me and see what's happened over like the last 8 years, and it's gone by in a flash. And this place has played a huge role in like so many of the central events of my life over that time. And so I'm really passionate about it. We're going to get back. It's going to be bigger than ever. CFL 2.0 or maybe 3.0. It's going to be worth sticking around for the show. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys soon. Hit me up on Instagram. I don't do Facebook, I never have. Or if you need anything, where I am. But I'm looking forward to seeing you guys at the whiteboard, and we'll catch up soon.